Now we have our nice shiny new Sprite Kit app. Let's add some images to it so that we can start making this look like a game. Now all the images that you'll need for this course can be downloaded from iosdevelopercourse.com/course content/FlappyBird-images.zip. So just go there and that should start downloading. So we'll save the images there. That will then give you a zip file, which if you tap on, you'll get an IMG or images folder. And let's just have a quick look at that folder. We've got two versions of the Flappy Bird sprite, so in slightly different positions with wings up or wings down. We've got a background, and then we've got two pipes, one that way up and the other one the other way up. So let's add the images to our project. Hopefully you remember how to do this. We're just going to get the image folder and drag it in like that, and we definitely want to copy items and create folder references for them. So we'll finish, and then let's just check. Excellent, we've got all of our different bits of artwork there. Fantastic. So how do we actually add them to our game? Let's go over to gamescene.swift. So we start by creating a variable, which we'll do here inside the gamescene class. And this is going to be a variable to refer to our main sprite. So we'll call it bird, a sprite kit sprite node. So a node is essentially just something that we need to refer to anywhere in the game. It can be one of a great range of things, and in this case it's a sprite. So our bird is an SK sprite node, or a sprite kit sprite node. So a sprite, essentially a thing or a character in our game. So now we need to assign an image to the bird sprite, and we do this by creating a texture. So we'll call it bird texture. So in game development you normally refer to images as textures, but as far as we're concerned you can just think of this as an image. So we use sprite kit texture and then image named, and the name of the image is going to be img/flappy1.png. So that's where it is. It's in the images folder and it's flappy1.png. Now let's assign that to our bird. So we just want bird equals sk sprite node, and this time we're going to do it from our texture. So texture there, and our texture is bird texture. Okay, the last thing we need to give the bird before we can actually create it and add it to our app is a location. So we'll use bird.position, and we use CG point to create a position. And for the x coordinate, we'll use CG rect get mid x. So that essentially just gets the middle of whatever we put in here, and the thing that we want to get the middle of is the frame that we're currently in. So that's self.frame. So that just puts the bird in the middle of the frame in the x direction. That's the horizontal. And then if we just copy that over, we want exactly the same thing, but we want get mid y. Okay, now we've created the position and we've added the texture. We just need to add it. So we use self.addChild bird. So the addChild command does what you might expect. It adds a new object on the screen, essentially a sprite in this case, to the scene that we're working with, i.e. game scene. So let's just run that and make sure that should display our Flappy Bird image in the middle of the screen. There it is. Fantastic. But of course Flappy Bird is nothing if he doesn't flap. So to do that, let's create a second texture. Just move that in. We'll call it bird texture 2, and we'll create that from flappy2.png. So we'll create a variable called animation, which is going to be an SK Sprite Kit action. We saw this before with the rotating rockets in the Hello World app. But this time we want to animate with textures. And the textures that we want to use are bird texture and bird texture 2. And we'll put them in an array like that. So I've got an array of our textures, and time per frame is just how long we want each frame to appear for. So let's try 1/10 of a second, see how that looks. Great. Now let's create a new instruction called make bird flap. So we're trying to be as clear as possible as about what does what. And this is going to be a new SK action, and it's going to be repeat action forever. And the action that we want to repeat forever is the animation. Great. So those two combined will do this back and forth forever, as long as the game is running. Okay, so let's apply this animation to our bird. We'll do it down here underneath the position. So bird dot run action make bird flap. So hopefully that's fairly clear what's going on there. We've got two textures. We've created an animation that just swaps between those two textures with every 0.1 seconds. And then we've created another animation which just repeats the first one forever. Then we've created our bird from our initial texture. Then we've set a position which is in the center of the frame for X and for Y. And then we've run the action make bird flap on that bird. And finally, we've added the bird to the scene. So let's run that. And now we should find that not only do we have a bird, but our bird flaps. There he is. Fantastic. So I think that looks good. You might want to up or decrease the time, depending on whether you want them to be flapping faster or slower, completely up to you. So in the next video, we'll start looking at how to change the background of our app.